Welcome to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka from our studios here in London. Over the next half an hour, we'll be looking beyond the business headlines by giving you in-depth perspective on the stories that are affecting all of us. Coming up on today's show, Birmingham in England is hosting 6,500 athletes and officials from 72 Commonwealth nations and territories, competing in 11 days of sport across the West Midlands. Away from the theatre of sport, the host nation is hoping that the renewed spotlight on the Commonwealth will foster greater trade relations among member states. Hugo Swire, the former Conservative Party Minister of State for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, will join me to discuss more on this. And according to a recent survey, just 10% of women have a stocks and shares investment savings account, compared to 17% of men. The figures are starker when you take into account investments made by minority communities. Bimpet Nkochu, the founder and managing principal of W8 Advisory, will be joining me to discuss how her new app hopes to break down some of these barriers. Then later, I'll be looking back at some of the biggest business stories of the week. But first, as always, let's start the show with a topic that's dominated headlines here in the UK this week: England's Lionesses' historic European Championship triumph. Amongst a jubilant celebration, the women's victory has reignited concerns of gender equality and equal pay. A recent study claims female players earn on average £100,000 a year, compared to an average £6.4 million for the average Premier League male player. During the Trafalgar Square team celebrations on Monday, we asked fans if Sunday's win will usher in a much-needed change.
I mean, I got super emotional last night. You know, I was texting, my sisters were texting me, and it was just like, this is like monumental. You know, it's something that nobody ever imagined would happen. And I do, just like I said, I kind of really hope that it carries on.
It's such an amazing thing that the girls' football have finally won, and it's finally on TV, and it's just a very nice moment.
The attendance, we've broken records, the viewership, we've broken so many records. With that, I think over 4.0 million so far. So it's really good. A lot of brands are seeing the investment in women's sport. So they're putting money in it, which, like Lucas is sport. So we're there, we're trying to support the women's team. And I feel like it's a big opportunity for brands as well to obviously put money into it and champion women's sport. Not just football, any women's sport in general.
Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined by Keisha Petit, a footballer for Queen's Park Rangers Football Club. Keisha Petit, it's a pleasure speaking with you today on Channel's Business Global. I've been saying to everyone since Sunday night's victory that I didn't realise how English I was until I was literally screaming the house down following the result. Can you just put into words, try and summarise for our viewers, especially those in Africa, what this historic victory means, not just for football, but for women?
Oh yeah, me and me both. I've been singing and screaming, almost losing my voice too. It's been great. So I coach myself. A lot of girls have been buzzing this week since I've seen them and come back from Sunday. So I think it's been a massive achievement and a great advert for women's football and girls football as well. So there's a lot of role models in the game now. They're coming in singing a lot of the women's and ladies players that they now know, which is obviously great and amazing. And it shows that if we can invest more into the sport, and create more opportunities for girls, how far we can potentially reach as a nation. So it is great. It's great to see everyone's buzzing, boys and girls actually. We had a lot of England tops on Monday morning.
Absolutely. I wasn't fortunate enough to be invited to Wembley on Sunday night, though we did pop down to Trafalgar Square on Monday afternoon. And there does appear to be quite an emotional response. So yes, you know, we're happy that they won, but it's not just about the sport. It appears as if it's just sparked something amongst women. Do you feel that as well? And what is that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually always wanted to wind the window down on Monday morning for the first women I saw, and it was like, we brought it home. And yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a buzz with everyone coming in. Even those that don't like sports usually, it's definitely seemed to spark a new love for the game through women's football, maybe being that first initial spark. I think it's just the realisation as well that can be just as competitive, just as technical and tactical within the game as well. And refreshing to see playing purely for the love of the game. Yeah. A lot of money goes into men's football, especially at the high level Premier League, and you have them in triple digit wages, and you see that a lot of women, those girls that maybe the women in the team started at a young age, just playing purely for the love of the game. So yeah, really refreshing.
Absolutely. You're talking about those salaries. I heard some of them are on £500,000 a week. Yeah, that's a nice wage if you can get it. Not faulting them, but it'd be interesting if that could be spread around. But I think obviously now, Kasia, kind of post-triumph victory is how does the game capitalise on this? And I'm sure this was a discussion that's been taking place way before what happened on the weekend. But what do you think? How can they capitalise on it?
I think it's definitely important to, while the momentum's here, keep driving rather than stopping it. So there's been a couple of campaigns over the years that have been in the background, like This Girl Can, having that attitude. But I think you have to see it to be it. So highlighting these role models and really showing where these girls sort of came from, where they started and where they've ended up. So I think it's important to show that, really highlight the resilience that was shown in the game, through the competition. Yeah. There was a couple of times where it almost down and out, and the push of resilience was absolutely brilliant and great to see. And having programs that are different now. So like a Euros Legacy program, I know that the FA are working on that, to help sustain and grow women and girls football, and create more opportunities for recreational football. So that new spark of love for the game, like we just said, of women that don't usually like sports, if that's there, it's to feed that hunger and allow them the opportunity to recreationally start enjoying it and enjoy that social side and camaraderie that we saw on TV.
What an absolute pleasure. Kasia Petit, Queen's Park Rangers footballer, and also I know that you're a coach too. So good luck, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on the big screen soon. But certainly if we're not seeing you there, do come and join us in the studio sometime soon, Kasia. Thanks so much for your time today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
Thank you. In other sporting news, the Commonwealth Games is currently taking place in Birmingham. Often referred to as the Friendly Games, the event is renowned for inspiring athletes to compete in the spirit of friendship and fair play while uniting the Commonwealth family through a glorious festival of sport. On the sidelines, a variety of business forums have been held in a bid to forge greater relations among member states. And for more insight on this, I'm now being joined from the capital by Hugo Swire, the former Conservative Party Minister of State for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Hugo Swire, thank you so much for joining me on Channel's Business Global today. To tell me and our viewers what exactly the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council do.
Well, it's basically a membership organisation right across the Commonwealth, which is about driving trade. There's something called the Commonwealth Advantage, whereby it's 21% cheaper for one company in a Commonwealth country to trade with another one. And that's something that we're encouraging. We think that's a really great way forward for companies within the Commonwealth family.
OK, well, there have been some suggestions, especially because Liz Truss in the running to become the next Prime Minister. She's been off, especially when she was Trade Secretary, I believe, forging new ties, but mainly focused on the Asia-Pacific region. So some say, well, Britain doesn't really have any interest in, forging better relationships in Africa or in other lower middle income countries within the Commonwealth. Do you think that's a fair statement?
No, I don't. And I think, certainly the world is now focused on Nigeria, not least because of your astonishing medals haul going on in the Commonwealth Games at the moment in Birmingham. We're remiss of me not to congratulate your entire country on this haul of medals they've got, not least in the women's discus, which was absolutely magnificent. We're pretty pleased here about the women's English football team, but I think that's being eclipsed by Nigeria's success at the Commonwealth Games. But look, to answer your question directly, I saw that Liz Truss authored an article as recently as a week ago about doing more within the Commonwealth. And that's to organisations such as ours. We've just come from organising the Business Forum in Kigali, very Africa-focused. We'll be announcing opening up an office in Kenya shortly. We've got a very, very vibrant office in Nigeria, one in Ghana. We're passionately committed to trading and increasing trade within the Commonwealth. And I see absolutely no reason why either Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss will not continue with that same ambition.
Thank you. And I've got to say, Hugo, thank you so much for those plaudits for Nigeria there. We'll take them anytime we can get them. And we have discussed extensively on this show about the triumph at the weekend for the Lionesses, which, of course, we celebrate here in the UK. But, of course, the Commonwealth is still quite tainted, I think you'll agree. And do you think it's fair that some Commonwealth countries within the Caribbean are slightly cautious about renewing trade ties with Britain because of its past? Some people do see the Commonwealth as, the old empire, and a lot of countries are just not happy being associated with that.
Sure. So we as an organisation, and as I say, we're the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council is a membership organisation. We've got hub offices now in the Caribbean, as it happens. As I said, in Ghana, in Lagos, shortly in Nairobi, also in places like Gibraltar and Valletta in Malta and Kuala Lumpur. So we're right across the Commonwealth. We are interested. We're not interested in promoting British bilateral trade with countries in the Caribbean or on the African continent. We're a Commonwealth organisation. We're about increasing trade between the Commonwealth Caribbean and Commonwealth Africa and those countries in Asia which are part of the Commonwealth too, and Australia, New Zealand and so forth. That's what we're focused on. We just happen to be based in the UK, but we are an organisation representing our members. Incidentally, one of our biggest hub offices is in Nigeria. We've got 18 strategic partners, and you'll know some of them, ranging from Zenith Bank to Dangote, Leadway Assurance, Lagos Free Zone, Africa Law Practice. These are major companies within Nigeria, all of whom have joined our organisation because they see the advantage of trading within the Commonwealth, and that's what we're about.
Absolutely. I think it's undeniable that Britain and Nigeria appreciate their long historic ties, and so may it continue. Of course, I can't have somebody like you on without asking about the leadership tussle. The Times are reporting this morning that 65% of Conservative Party members are voting for Liz Truss. Have you publicly backed any candidate?
I mean, I'm not in the House of Commons anymore, but was a huge fan of Boris Johnson. I understand everything that went wrong. I think it's interesting that a huge amount still of the Conservative Party would like Boris Johnson to be back in number 10.
I know.
But we've moved on. And I think they're both credible candidates. And I'm listening very carefully to what they're saying. And I hope to hear in the next few weeks more about Rishi Sunak's ideas about trade, not least within the Commonwealth. But certainly, I've only reported factually that this article was by Liz Truss, who gets the Commonwealth and understands. And frankly, British governments over the years of every political persuasion haven't necessarily understood the power and the opportunities that the Commonwealth family represents. That's for a number of reasons. And I think they're getting it now. They're really getting it. And I think both candidates will be reminded by our organisation of quite how central trading within the Commonwealth is to the economic prosperity of us all.
Hear, hear. Hugo Swire, former Minister of State for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure, and good luck with more medals.
Thank you. Coming up on Channel's Business Global, I'll be talking about accessible investment opportunities with Bimpet Nkotju, the founder and managing principal of W8 Advisory. And I'll be looking back at some of the biggest business stories of the week. All this after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Channel's Business Global with me, Juliana Olayinka, from our studios here in London. In a moment, I'll be speaking with Bimpet Nkotju, the founder and managing principal of W8 Advisory. But before then, here's a reminder of the biggest business news stories of the week. BP has revealed second quarter profits of $8.5 billion, up from $2.8 billion reported during the same period just last year. The results come as British households are struggling to meet rocketing bills. BP has cited the exceptional trading with soaring oil and gas prices. The group has risen dividend shareholder payouts by 10%. China's gambling hub of Macau has allowed bars, restaurants, salons, gyms and entertainment venues to reopen, lifting a citywide COVID-19 lockdown that lasted a month. Authorities say the decision made Tuesday follows 9 consecutive days without reported community infections. People entering the region will be required to show a proof of a negative test taken within 72 hours. Until recently, Macau's multi-billion-dollar gaming industry was bigger than Las Vegas, but the sector has taken a beating from the pandemic and from a Beijing-directed anti-corruption crackdown. Adam Mosseri, the boss of the popular social media platform Instagram, has become the latest big tech personality to join the exodus from Silicon Valley. He's announced that he'll be moving to London, which is seen as a big boost for the capital's growing tech credentials. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, which owns Instagram, has an estimated 4,000 employees in London, making the region its biggest engineering hub outside of America. Now to our final story. According to UK investment statistics, just 10% of women have a stocks and shares investment savings account. This compares to 17% of men. Once you step back to take a look at the global picture, the disparities are much wider. Industry experts suggest that one of the main barriers to women and ethnic minority communities who want to take control of their financial affairs is the nature of the institutions themselves. It's no secret that the financial industry tends to be male-orientated, often failing to recognise and cater to a female and minority audience. It was this obvious demand that led my next guest to take on the mantle, creating the first majority black-owned investment app, Wealth 8. Bimpe Nkochu, the founder and managing principal of W8 Advisory, joins me now from London for more on this. Bimpe Nkochu, thank you so much for joining me on Channel's Business Global today. Something tells me that a lot of our viewers, not just in the UK but across Nigeria and Africa, will be familiar with you because you are a formidable lady, I've got to say. But for those who aren't, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to create this app?
Well, Juliana, thank you for having me on the show today. Well, this app is, I would say, our response that I've given in response to the fact that I've seen that a lot of people, both on the African continent and in the UK especially, have just not gotten into the habit of saving and investing. I mean, saving is one thing, but investing is a way to put your money away to get long-term returns. I mean, and really for long-term. And I found that many people always believe that they need to be rich, they need to have a lot of money to start investing. And yet I felt that the idea of investing should start, as soon as possible. As soon as you start earning the first wage, put a little bit away, and this app will allow you to do that. We have an app that allows you to start with very little money and grow your wealth.
I can't believe it's actually extraordinary to think that this Wealth 8 app is the first fully black-owned investment app. It's quite shocking considering how much of them are available out there. But can you tell us about some of the early insights? I know that this was launched, I believe, in October last year, soon to be launched in Nigeria and across the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. But, who is investing? Who are you attracting?
So Wealth 8, which is the name of the app, and it's in the App Store, was established in October last year. And yes, definitely to target, I would say, the black minorities in the UK, definitely on the African continent. And while there is starting to be, there are more and more investment apps, we're all living our lives online. We're doing a lot more digital banking. Fintech has become the way of reaching a massive population that doesn't necessarily have bank accounts, but has a phone. So literally what I realized was the ability to save and invest is a message that needs to be spread across the whole continent, and Wealth 8 is doing that, starting from the UK, and the ability to enable people to actually get onto an app on their phone and start their financial journey. And we've been fortunate to partner with two of the world's best investment managers, BlackRock and JP Morgan, and they have produced financial products, global products with different risk ratings, different returns that allows anyone, and I mean anyone, male or female, once you're an adult over 18, to really start putting away a little bit of money and to start growing your wealth.
I think, Bimpe, since the kind of, dominance of cryptocurrency trading platforms, there have been some concerns, especially from the Financial Conduct Authority, that people are misled. There are a lot of scams that take place, especially, Gen Z and millennials who have a little bit of extra spend and they decide to put it in these platforms and they don't really understand it. Do you think that's some concerns that some savvy savers are reluctant to invest because they have heard all of these horror stories. And if you do believe in that, how are you trying to alleviate these people's fears?
One thing our app Wealth 8 has is financial education. It's a big, strong pillar of what we're providing on the platform. So when you download the app and you register, even before you start investing, you can actually have access to a Wealth 8 hub on which you have a lot of articles, very simple to understand tips, and knowledge about why to invest, what kind of products are out there, what are stocks, shares, ETFs, bonds, all of those things, which people always think are magic words that only very, very, intelligent and very wealthy people do. And definitely there has been a surge in interest in investing by Gen Z. First of all, the pandemic meant we were all at home. People had a lot more surplus cash because they weren't spending as much. And suddenly there was this rush to invest in cryptocurrencies and GameStop and all of those stocks. And to be honest, that's best left to experts. So what we're doing is we're providing a platform where you put your money and the experts. At the moment, we have JP Morgan and BlackRock. They handle the investments. They tailor your portfolio. They make sure that whatever you've selected is balanced according to what your risk rating is. So we're doing it in a very simple and easy to access way.
Right. I was going to say, some facts are really hard to stomach, but the truth is black women just very rarely invest, do they? There are a multitude of reasons. One is, fear of being scammed. What do you think is the reason that is stopping black women, not just black British women like us, but black women across Africa and Pan-Africa from investing? And how would you alleviate their fears?
I think the problem has been, and I'm, obviously a black woman, I was raised in Nigeria, and definitely from a cultural point of view, they're part of the world, especially in what I call the emerging developing economies, where the role of the woman has been, stay home, look after the kids. And even when you start working and earning, we're conditioned to think that the men take care of the money, the fathers, the husbands. And therefore, even when we are professional, when we're earning money, we just think, oh gosh, it's way above my, knowledge, or, my eyes glaze over, I won't bother. And frankly, there's nothing to be afraid of. And that's part of what we're saying. We're introducing financial education, financial literacy. It's there. It's not rocket science. If you've been to school, and even if you haven't, but, if you're doing anything that's, earning an honest income, then surely you should be interested in how that income is being spent and being saved, not just for your personal future, but for your family's future. So some women are lucky to have men that can pay for everything. But even in that case, there's all the more reason why you should be responsible for the way the family's finances are being managed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for teaching me today, and for teaching millions of our female and male viewers. Bimpe Nkochu, founder and managing principal of W8 Advisory. I look forward to hearing more about your launch in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you, Bimpe.
Thank you very much, Juliana.
Well, sadly, that's all we have time for today. But as always, do get in touch with your comments and suggestions. I'll see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business analysis on Channels Business Global. Goodbye.